Yahuwah Almighty, we magnify your name. 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 Hallelujah, hallelujah, forever worthy, praise 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 your name. Yahusha, redeeming love, to you every knee shall bow. Yahusha, right hand of love, oh praise your name now we say. Hallelujah, hallelujah, forever worthy, praise your name. Hallelujah, hallelujah, forever worthy, praise your name. Hallelujah, hallelujah, forever worthy, praise your name.
Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim. Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. And the second one is like it. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom almost. Welcome, Netzarim. Welcome, friends. Welcome, guests. Glad you're all here. And I think we have a powerful lesson ahead of us this evening. And I hope we all get a lot out of it. Okay, so I was sent a track by Lou White. He emailed me a track here, one of his new tracks, and I think we'll kind of study and read out that a little bit, and then we'll go to scripture to kind of confirm everything and get a better understanding of the track and what we've read here. Our Torah reading will be out of Deuteronomy 18 this evening. And I'm going to extend it out to Exodus 23 and Ephesians 5. All right. So thanks for coming, Dave. Glad you're here. Peggy Russell, glad you're here. Lou and Phyllis, glad you're here. Yami and Rule, glad you're here. Maria, always glad to see you. Glad you're here. Joseph Hessen, glad you're here. Brother Diane, glad you're here. All righty. So I don't know how many of you have found this new track of Lou White's here. This is the one I'm going to be reading out of. It's called Inspired Traditions and Words. Uninspired, I mean. Uninspired Traditions and Words. I found it very intriguing, interesting, so I decided to go ahead and share it this evening. So, I have guests coming over later, probably in an hour, hour and a half, and they usually make a pretty big splash, so my wife is going to intercept them, and so don't be surprised if you hear dogs barking, the warning that somebody has arrived around that time. Good evening, Mom. Glad you're here. Tad, glad you're here, brother. Latterang, glad you made it. All right, so just a word of warning. So here we go. I'll read you this track, and then we'll get into scripture. And then I'll see if we have time. We'll open this up for discussion. So, uninspired traditions and words. Some of the words here that are uninspired in text, usually found in text and different translations. And ironically, these four here that he's listing at the top are found in just about every translation in every sect there is. Because there's not a whole lot of translations that teach the true name and get rid of the devices. So even a lot of the Orthodox Yehudim and their Tanakh, they use these uninspired words. The JPS uses these uninspired words. KJV uses these uninspired words, and so on and so forth, all the way down the list. Kind of important to understand them and figure out what's going on here. Uh, First one is Bible, which most of us are familiar with. The second one is Jesus, which we're all fairly familiar with. Next one's Lord, which we're all familiar with. And the fourth one is God, which we're all fairly familiar with. All right, so these four are uninspired words. That means, what does that mean? Well, quite frankly, that means they were never heard out of the mouth of Yahuwah. They didn't come from him. They came from men, other sources other than Yahuwah. That's why they're uninspired words. And so if these are found in a text or translation, that tells us automatically that would be an uninspired translation. It only makes common sense, right? If there's uninspired traditions and uninspired words written in a text, then it's uninspired translation. It's common sense. Can't be inspired. And the truth of it is, folks, is that no translation is inspired. Okay, it's copied. It comes from men, different scribes, different translators, different languages, trying to jump from one language to another, to another, to another, and you can end up 3 or 4 or 5 or even more intermittent languages between the Hebrew text and the target text in another language. There could be 4 or 5 or more different intermediate languages in there. So can you imagine how messed up that it's gotten? It goes down through that many languages and scribes. Nobody really understanding the original Hebrew text, their traditions, their language, their customs, their idioms. It can get pretty messed up. That's why they're not inspired. To be inspired, it has to be taken directly from Yahuwah and written down exactly, precisely as he quoted it. And that would be inspired. Okay, so yeah, I know there's a lot of rumors out there. The KJV fell out of the sky and somebody caught it as it was coming down, given to man from outer space somewhere. And it's inspired words of God. Well, common sense tells us that cannot be, especially since the first copy of that English version, authorized version, transition in English language, came out at 1611. So that can't be, right? We're dumb, but we ain't that dumb, are we? All right, let's go on. It says, come out of her, my people, get wisdom. Institutionalized witchcraft, the great mother circus, fertility traditions. Wow, that's a mouthful, but what does all that mean? What does institutionalized witchcraft mean to us? Well, if it's institutionalized, that means it was taught to us through teachers who were members or laborers or employees of an institution. Okay, so that you go into these institutions trying to learn truth and trying to learn the knowledge of Yahuwah, and all they're going to teach you in there is institutionalized witchcraft. They've taken witchcraft, paganism, so forth and so on, and they have integrated it into their religion and have taught it to their teachers. And when they've learned it well enough, they give them a certificate, pat them on the back, send them out the door and say, now go teach our religion and our institutionalized witchcraft. And don't forget to tell them that it doesn't mean the same thing as it used to 1,000 years ago, okay, or 2,000 years ago. All right. So, like I say, if it's institutionalized, it's been taught almost to a brainwashing point. And they've taught you how to cover it, every angle, and cover their lies and their the witchcraft, make it appear as something else, something good. It's no longer bad. Now it's something good. All right. So let's go ahead and begin to read now. That was all found up here in the forefront here. We learned all that from just this picture. All right, so here we go. All the pillars, obelisks, and steeples come from the cup held by the whore of Babel. She has made all the nations drunk from the filth of her abominations. We are not to learn the ways of the nations. Here's a scriptural quote passage. Do not make idols for yourselves, and do not set up a carved image or a pillar for yourselves, and do not place a stone image in your land to bow down to it, for I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Now this is found in Leviticus 26. Interesting, when we really take a harder look at this passage, we see that says, do not make idols for yourself. Okay, so, and do not, an idol. What's an idol? Well, it says make an idol. Well, this is, an idol would be some kind of object of worship. So it's an object of worship that people bow down to and ask it to do things for them. Okay, an idol. It's their G-O-D, if you will. So we're not supposed to make idols to bow down to and to worship. And do not set up a carved image. What's that? Well, that's taking like a log of wood, cutting it all up, using some of it in a fire to cook with and warm yourself with, and then using the other half to carve some kind of figure, whether it be of a man, a beast, or a demon, whatever, and set it up in your house. So a Buddha would be an example of this as well. Or totem pole, even, of American Indian Jews. This would be included in this, a carved image. Or a pillar for yourselves. So what's a pillar? Well, a pillar is probably a pointed object. It's probably, we're able to relate a pillar to a steeple nowadays in our era, common era. So a steeple, perhaps, on top of a church building with a cross or crux on top, or a circle of the sun up there, or even a crescent moon up there on top of the pointed object or the pillar or the steeple. So I would relate a pillar to a steeple. It's not a column, so it would have to be, it's not a dome, so it would have to be in reference to like a steeple, be related to a steeple. Do not place a stone image in your land. So what's that? Well, that can be a lot of things. It could be a statue of someone. Look at all the stone images we have in America. It's almost a national disgrace and an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed. Statue of Liberty, Libertas, pagan goddess there in the New York Harbor, the phallus in Washington, D.C., the domes, the columns. Looks like we're living in Rome or Athens or something when you go to DC. So stone images can be wide and spread description of things. Even the Georgia stones that got knocked down here recently, that's a stone image of sorts as well. So statues, any with rocks with creeds on it or doctrine written on them or whatever, all those statues over there on Easter Island, any of that kind of stuff is a stone image. But here we have so much of it in this country. I would like to see them knock them all down. I really would. And so every time these radicals nowadays go out and knock all these war monuments down and all these other different stone images, I say right on, one more down, 10,000 to go, whatever. There sure is a lot of them. So that would be a stone image in your land. And but then interestingly, it says, and do not place stone image in your land. And this is to bow down to it. So that kind of says, oh, wait a minute now. Are they really all illegal? Or is it just illegal if you bow down to them and pay them homage or reference? Because it does say to bow down to it. So if you're not worshiping it, if it's not a God, is it okay to have a statue of a horse in your front yard? Something to think about, isn't it? Is there a fine line there? Or do we say, no statues of rock, nothing whatsoever? It doesn't matter if you're worshiping it or not. It's illegal. Do we get that stringent with it? Or do we say, wait a minute now, a statue of a horse on my horse farm, which I don't have one, but I'm just saying, is that illegal as long as I'm not worshiping it? Something to think about, really. I mean, we don't want to add to stuff either. We don't want to be a fanatic, or with anything either, overzealous to the point where we're making people do things that Yahuwah really didn't instruct them not to do. Did they have pictures and photos back in this day when this was written on Leviticus? No. The best thing they had was something maybe with coal or charcoal or something, or lead. If they even had lead back then, I don't know. But they definitely were drawing even with fruit and berries and such, mixing like an ink or something. And they were making like cave drawings, things like that couldn't be washed off by the rain and wouldn't survive. So we know they could draw. But they really didn't have pictures or photographs. And they could take pictures of things and hang them on their wall, So I don't see where it would apply to that, But nevertheless, the things that we have hanging on our walls are things we have to be conscious of. If we have a picture of the J-man with the heart with barbed wire or, vines with pokies on it there, wrapped around his heart, thorns, and a crown on his head with a halo around him, and hanging on our wall, this could very well fall into an idol or even a carved image, applying it to our time now. There's a lot of, especially Catholics, love photographs or paintings of angels. They even have paintings of their God up on a cloud with a bunch of little, looks like midgets or midget angels or something all around him, under his arm, popping out over his back, coming through his legs or whatever, have him surrounded, and then he's pointing his finger out and downward and touching Adam's finger pointing back. Should we have these kind of things on our wall? How about pentagrams, satanic pentagrams? Should we have these things on our wall, even if they're disguised? If it's a big fat circle like this and it's got an upside down 5-pointed star that we all know represents Satan or the goat man, by the witches and the warlocks, the pagans, the Satanists, they all understand what that is. They know exactly what Christmas trees represent. They know exactly what the Easter bunny represents, and the Valentine's heart, and Halloween, and birthdays, birthday cake, the witch's cone had a power. They all understand exactly what all that means. So they know what a pentagram it means, and they trick you with it, right? So they take a pentagram made of 10, and it's an upside down 5-pointed star, upside down, with the circle around it, with the circle of protection around it. And they take some kind of word and they write it up on the circle or wherever, so that you can, when you put that up on your wall, there's no way you're going to turn that around and put the pointed star, 2 here and then 2 down here, up on top to make it just look like it's just a regular star. Don't mean nothing, right? It's like a crux, if you will. For a Christian and for the Satanist, same thing. If the crux is up straight up, it's Christianity. If it's turned upside down, it's Satanism. Same with the star. And so they write this word on there to make you put that thing on your wall so you can read the word. So the word is an upside down, and voila. You have an upside down 5-pointed star with a circle around it, which is a satanic pentagram. It is what it is, folks. Just like Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, Halloween, it is what it is. It's hidden witchcraft in plain sight. Just like this little picture here shows. So all the hidden paganism, witchcraft in plain sight. We're all familiar with all this. Everybody knows what this stuff is because it's right in front of our face every day, every year, every season. On and on and on. So there's no excuses. So we have to utilize discernment and common sense. What happened to common sense? Come on. Is it okay to display an image of God, of Catholicism, God, on the wall because it has something to do with holiness? Absolutely not. Common sense says take that thing off of your wall. Don't give that to anybody. Take it out there and throw it in the friggin' in the dumpster. Get rid of that abomination. It's not funny. You sit there and laugh about it. Get it off your wall, throw it in the dumpster. And don't give it to anybody. Why you want to pass a curse on to somebody else? All right. Hallelujah. Daniel described the end of days. And Yahusha also spoke. Hi, Kobe. Glad you're here, bro. And Yahusha also spoke of him in a time of the great distress of nations. And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of space, and those who lead many to obedience like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, hide the words, seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase. That's in Daniel 12, 3 and 4. Okay, so he says, look at this. The World History Encyclopedia. This is a definition of Biblos found in the 1945 World History Encyclopedia. If it's in an encyclopedia, can it be theory? It's got to be fact. So the fact is here that the World History Encyclopedia described Byblos, or defined Byblos, as an ancient port city of Gabal called Byblos by the Greeks on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea in what is today Lebanon. Pagan temples were located in coastal ports to exploit sexual tourism. Worship of the zodiac, or the host of heaven, in their services was sexual, and this produced an overflow of unwanted children. I'm going to warn you, what we're about to read is not pleasant to the ear, so prepare yourself, gird your loins. And this produced an overflow of unwanted children. Emphasized was the sacrificing of the children we read about at Leviticus 18. Today we hear teachers refer to the Bible, a word originating from one of these fertility deities. Byblos is the name for one coastal city, because papyrus was one of the principal articles in its trade. The Greeks took the name of the city as their word for book. So Byblos, and from their word, books, named are Bible, ta Biblia, which means the books. So Greek, in the Greek, it's Biblia, and in Roman or Latin, it's Uenus. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. The Temple of Biblia, the Temple of Biblia, that means there was maybe perhaps statues of this female goddess in this port city. There was a temple there, so I'm sure there was. The Temple of Biblia gave the city its name, and also the book now referred to us as the Bible. It is uninspired. I will repeat that. The Temple of Biblia gave the city its name, and also the book now referred to as the Bible. It is uninspired. Okay, I know that's going to create a problem among a lot of people because they think the scriptures are inspired. And we just went through that earlier. If you missed it, go back later and watch the beginning of this video, and I kind of explained that. But very quickly, it's uninspired because it uses uninspired words, traditions, and words. So therefore, the translation has to be uninspired if it's using uninspired words not given to us by Yahuwah. Yeah, it was injected by men. These devices were injected by men. That's why the translations are not inspired. We don't have any inspired translations in our possession anymore. They've been long gone, long lost, years ago, centuries ago, millenniums ago, really. So the inspired text would be Yahuwah citing, given the instructions or the words out of his mouth to someone that was hearing them and writing down, taking dictation of what he's saying. Precisely. The exact words out of the mouth of Yahuwah, writing them down. I wish we had those, but we do not. So that the statement's true. We have no inspired texts. They're all translations. What's a translation? It's a man's any man or scribe or a publisher, editor, anybody like that, attempt to write a Hebrew text, we'll say, in their own language. And sometimes they're going through 4 or 5 languages until they get to this one, and then they're going to try to translate into their language from the 5th one down the line, with all those other intermittent languages in between the original and the one they're doing. So it becomes a mess. All right. So we talked about that in the beginning. So don't be too shocked at that statement. It's a true statement. It is uninspired because it's using uninspired words. It's common sense. Hi, Rose. Glad you're here. UK time. All right. Yeah, that's not too bad. 1:35. Yeah. So you're what, 5 hours in front of us? Glad to have you here, Rose. Thanks for coming. So late in the night there. Okay, let's continue. Another source says both the city of Bablos and Phoenicia and the city Byblos in Egypt were named after the female deity Byblos, also called Bible or Byblis. This idol was the granddaughter of Apollo. And I don't take pleasure in saying these words, folks. Okay, but if I don't say them, how are you going to understand what I'm talking about? Okay, so don't listen to what the words I'm saying, but try to understand the lesson here, the enlightenment here from Yahushua. Okay. The Greek pagan sun idol. Biblia was also a name for Venus, an astral goddess and a goddess of sensuality. It all has to do with fertility and sex, is what all these pagan deities are. Just a way for them to make money. Almost, it's like temple prostitutes is what they were. In the temple, priests were bringing in tithing off of sexual favors inside these temples. That's where all these children came from. They didn't have birth control, did they? It was not hard to make a mistake back then. And so they had all these children that were born out of wedlock. And so they didn't have anything. They didn't know what to do with them. So they used them as human sacrifices to the devil. Malak, if you will. In today's abortions, I'm playing right along them same lines. Okay, so our fathers have inherited futility and lies. The Queen of Heaven, or better known as Mother Nature, or Nut. Her name's Nut. She is a nut. She don't even exist, right? So sensuality among the ancient Greeks. The Greeks were just crazy with this stuff, this paganism, but so were the Romans. So were the Egyptians. So were the Babylonians. All the nations were doing this. The entire world, really. They all were. The only nation that wasn't was Israel. But they learned the way that they disobeyed Yahuwah and started learning the way of how the nations worship their mighty ones. And boy, they started doing it too. Even the priests were doing it inside of Yahuwah's temple. We learn about that in Ezekiel. Crazy stuff. It's a shame what people do, especially behind closed doors. I mean, wow, man, it's an embarrassing. It's horrible. I've prayed many times for Yahuwah. I'm sorry that what we've done to you. This is incredible disobedience. How can people do this to you? Forgive them, Yahuwah, for they know not what they do. You know, and then I start thinking about it and say, well, maybe they did know what they were doing. That's even more disgusting. You know, so it's just, hard to wrap your mind around it, really. It's really hard. When asked if the word Bible is a pagan word, organizations that use the word Bible in their name claim it is not a problem. Well, they claim that none of the Christian holidays are a problem. It's not a problem to call him any name you want to call him or use any device you want to call on him. Nothing's a problem to them. As long as you give them money, they're good to go. But comes to us from the word for paper or parchment in the Greek language. In other words, nothing here, move along. Nothing to see here, move along. Bible is not a word used in the inspired text. The inspired text calls itself Kitab Amath at Daniel 10:21. See an interlinear to fact check these words, fact check that these words mean writing of truth in the Hebrew language. We have grown far too trusting. Eusebius began translating the Greek into Latin in 391 CE. For the next, AD or CE, for the next 1,200 years, his Latin Vulgarius or Vulgate, which means common, for the common language for the laity, was believed to be inspired. For 1,200 years, people believed the Latin Vulgate to be inspired. It was used by the Anglican Catholics to produce the King James Version. So the King James Version was inspired through the Latin Vulgate. That's why it's in the same exact format, really. It's got what they call the Old Testament, and it's got the Apocrypha in the middle, and then it's got the New Testament at the end. And exactly the way the Vulgate is in the King James 1611 edition for a long time was in that same exact format at the Apocrypha in the middle as well. I can't recall right now what year they took it out, but it was in there for a long time. Yeah, they put it in 1611. I think it was in there right up into the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken. Seaport cities offered easy access for wealthy traders to sell and buy all kinds of goods. The pagan temples located in these ports exploited the rich travelers. Tourism with brothels or cat houses. The fertility temples reference worship services, and it is still used commonly by Gentile cultures. Shrine prostitutes brought great wealth to the cities through their shameful deeds. Paul warned his converts who had once been in these worship services, and have no fellowship with the fruitless works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is a shame even to speak of what is done by them in secret. But all things being exposed are manifested by the light, for whatever is manifested is light. We must not learn the ways of the heathen. Infanticide was institutionalized to eradicate surplus babies the fertility rites produced. Babies were burned in the belly. Of Moloch in a ritual. Abortion is the modern Moloch worship. There's a picture here. The Moloch there is the ancient Santa Claus. This was where they got Santa Claus from. They placed that baby there and down in the lap of Moloch, which was hot, red hot furnace. And while the baby is laying there frying like an egg in the lap of Moloch, they were really sacrificing the Satans. There would be a band there, and they would play instruments, blow horns, and sing real loudly so that the people couldn't hear the baby screaming while it was frying on the lap of Moloch. Very grotesque picture, I know, but very important to understand that this is where modern day Santa Claus came from. And you're putting your child on the lap of Santa Claus dressed in a red suit with a pointed witch's cone hat of power on. He comes down through your chimney fireplace through the fire, is all representative of this type satanic ritual. Okay, the witches and the warlocks and the sorcerers and the Satanists all know this. That's why they laugh so hard every time December 25th rolls around and we act out their rituals for them. Yeah, they like it. They think it's fantastic that we do these things. Okay. The J-Man, J-E-S-U-S. It's not pronounced Jesus. It's pronounced Jesus. It's a Greek name. Its proper pronunciation is Jesus, or Hail Zeus, if you will. Jesus. Okay, this is uninspired word as well. This word never came out of the mouth of Yahuwah. Yahusha never heard anyone in his time call him this name. He was called Yahusha. That's it. Maybe he was called Yah a few times for short, like David would be called Dave or Michael would be called Mike. It's a possibility. You know, he was definitely called Master and the Messiah. He may have been called Yah for some of his closest friends, maybe in private or something, but his name was Yahusha. That's the only name he ever heard in his ears. He never heard Jesus. A word of recent origin, J-E-S-U-S, is less than 500 years old. The letter J was invented from the Greek letter iota. It grew a curly tail in the 17th century when used as the first letter in a sentence, or the first letter of a proper noun, such as a name. The Latin Vulgate and the first edition of the King James Version used IESV to represent the name because they couldn't write it like the Hebrew did. So they could only use the letters that were available to them in their alphabet. So they tried to make Yahusha sound out with IESV to represent the name, and had never known the true name of Yahusha. 1 Corinthians 12:2 reminds us, you know that you were Gentile, led away to the dumb idols, even as you might be led. So these would be idolaters. By using B-I-B-L-E, the word of Yahuwah is being referred to by the actual name originating from a female idol of pleasure worship in Canaan and Egypt. Who is the Lord God? Read your translations. Read the preference of your translation. It omits removing the name of Yahuwah and replacing it with a device, the English word Lord. Confute the uninspired words. The name God was adopted by Christianity, as was Bible. They removed Yahuwah's name 6,823 times, something like that. And then if you go into the Nazarene writings, the name Yahusha was removed quite a few times as well. And all in all, Yahuwah and Yahusha well over 7,000 times. Close to 7,000, but I believe it's over 7,000. Incredible how they're hiding. Why do they want to hide his name? Because they hate him. The world hates him. That's why they're hiding his name. Why do they want to hide anything about him? Because the world hates him. It's that simple. Okay, so here we go. In the encyclopedia, 1945 Encyclopedia Americana, I might have been wrong on that other one, that the World History Encyclopedia Biblos. That might be in a more modern version. I said it was 1945, but I got it mixed up here. So that here's the 1945 Encyclopedia Americana. Okay, it gives us a definition of God. And so God, according to the 1945 Encyclopedia Americana, says God, common Teutonic word for personal object of religious worship. Okay, so what do we say the object of worship was? An idol, right? So it's an idol. That's what they're telling you. Formerly applicable to superhuman beings of heathen myth, similar to Hercules, okay? On conversion of Teutonic races to Christianity. It was inserted to get the Teutonic races to convert to universalism, which was Roman Catholicism or Christianity. Term was applied to a supreme being. So that means that God was the name of the Teutonic races. It was the name of their mighty one. It was God or GAD or GATT or GODD, whatever. Same thing. So that was basically a name of their mighty one, right? So we're going to call Yahuwah by a name of another mighty one? And we shouldn't do that. For sure. It's disobedience. Exodus 23:13 says, and in all that I have said to you, take heed, and make no mention of the names of other mighty ones. See, God is the name of another mighty one, so we shouldn't make mention of that. Let it not be heard from your mouth. Let's prove what we claim to believe. Live by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah. And of course, these uninspired words did not proceed from the mouth of Yahuwah. So we should not use them. We should trash can them. Immediately. Stop using them. All right, so there it is. That's Lou White's new track he sent me. I hope you guys probably have it too, but it's pretty cool. Read it, and you turn to all the scriptural references and extracted passages there that he's offering, and get a better idea of all of that. Very important information, very important subject to understand, and it helps us to be obedient to our Creator and our Maker and our Master and our Husband. Okay. All right, so that's that. So now let's go to our Torah reading for this evening, and I said it would be Deuteronomy 18 and BYNB. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18, please, everybody. All right, so here we go. Deuteronomy 18. The priests, the Luim, or the Levites, all the tribe of Lui, or Levites, have no part nor inheritance with Yesharel. They are not to eat the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire and his inheritance. But among his brothers, Levi has no inheritance. Yahuwah is his inheritance, as he has spoken to him. As this is the priest's right from the people, that those who bring an offering, whether it is bull or sheep, they shall give to the priest the shoulder and the cheeks and the stomach, the first fruits of your grain and your new wine and your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep. You give to him. For Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand to serve in the name of Yahuwah, him and his sons forever. And when the Levite comes from one of your gates, from where he has sojourned among all Yisrael, and shall come with all the desire of his being to the place which Yahuwah chooses, then he shall serve in the name of Yahuwah his Elohim, like all his brothers, the Luim, who are standing there before Yahuwah. They are to have portion for portion to eat, besides what comes from the sale of his inheritance. When you come into the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of those Gentiles. Okay, so then I'm supposed to hang out with the Gentiles and learn their witchcraft ways and how they worship creation or demons and devils, rather than the Creator. So stay away from them. Don't even talk to them. Don't look at their abominations. Let no one be found among you who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire. This is that Moloch worship we were just talking about here and lose track. Remember the picture I showed you? Or making the Moloch furnace here pass through the fire. No, I know there's people out there that teach you that this means transgenderism back in that day, that they were practicing transgenderism, but, I don't see that. I think people have a tendency to over-exaggerating sometimes, which scripture applies. There are spiritual meanings, but sometimes I think we overstep. It's an overreach. What's being taught to us by the Ruach, and our minds take over and we start imagining things. I won't say it, but you get what I'm saying. His son or his daughter passed through the fire, the Moloch worship. Or one who practices divination, that's fortune telling, or a user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist. This is people who try to have seances and speak to demons and stuff like that, call up the dead, worship the dead, this kind of activity. And we've got to be careful about adding things that's not here as well, because you're not supposed to add or take away. So if you don't understand what some words mean, slow down your studying and your reading, get a dictionary, and look this stuff up before proceeding. Because you can't proceed with the wrong definition or understanding in your mind, or you're not going to get the truth behind it. Okay? Or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. Well, that's ancestry worship, so forth and so on. And this can be a form of necromancy, worshiping the dead, or trying to talk to the dead, or ancestry worship, all that fits into that category. For whoever does this are an abomination to Yahuwah. And because of these abominations, Yahuwah your Elohim drives them out from before you. Be perfect before Yahuwah your Elohim, for these nations whom you are possessing do listen to those using magic and to diviners. But as for you, Yahuwah your Elohim has not appointed such for you. So no man can prophesy of his own. No man has ever prophesied of his own knowledge. He's only prophesied through the Ruach HaKodesh, which has been revealed by the Ruach through that man. No man's ever prophesied in his own power. It's always through the power of the Ruach. If they're trying to do it through their own power, they can't do it, but maybe they got a demon in them too, They could have a demon trying to pretend like he knows the future, but they don't. Demons can't see the future. How many knows futures are Yahuwah? Nobody else. Yahuwah your Elohim shall rise up for you a prophet like me from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him according to all you asked of Yahuwah your Elohim in Koreb in the Yam of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahuwah my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire anymore, lest I die. So what is that talking about? Well, that's talking about the children of Israel was scared to death when they heard the voice of Yahuwah. And so instead of worshiping Yahuwah and trying to listen to Yahuwah, they chose to go hide themselves from Yahuwah and let Moses go up there and talk to Yahuwah, come back and tell them what Yahuwah said. Now, let Moses go up there and die. We ain't going up there. Why? Because they witnessed his greatness. That's why. His power. I heard him speak, and they saw the Dead Sea part. They saw the miracles in Egypt. All that kind of stuff, man. Along with Moses, he saw all that. He saw all those miracles, and then he still asked to see Yahuwah. Why? Does that mean he didn't know Yahuwah because he asked to see him? No. Just means he wanted to know him better, be closer to him, to understand his will and who he was. Just wanted to know him better, man. That doesn't mean he didn't know him. Come on now. Let's apply some common sense before we speak. And Yahuwah said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers. And well, why was it good? Because what were they doing? They were fearing Yahuwah. Right, so the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahuwah. That's why it was good. But if I was there, I think I'd have tagged along with Moses. Please take me. I want to see him too. I want to hear him talk too. I don't think I would have held back. I just really don't. But I guess you never know until you're under the gun what you're really going to do. And that applies to everybody. Nobody really knows how they're going to react just to a circumstance, until they're in it. No. Otherwise, you're just speculating what you would do. There's people who thought they'd be a great warrior in the heat of battle. And when they finally got to a battle, they turned and ran like a dog, scalded dog with tail tucked. Then there were little guys, weak guys, that they all laughed at and teased and said, that guy there's going to run hide under the closest rock he can find. And he ended up fighting and becoming a great warrior, like David. Right? Didn't David become a great warrior when he slew the giant? Yes, he did. He was just a little puny boy. Became a great warrior. And as a matter of fact, he became the king of Israel. So you never know what somebody's going to do in the heat of battle. But I still think, at least I like to think, They ought to grabbed a hold of Moses's shirt there, his robe, and said, "Let me tag along. I want to hear him sing too, man." All right. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers, and I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. And it shall be, the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other mighty ones, even that prophet shall die. And when you say in your heart, how do we know the word which Yahuwah has not spoken? When the prophet speaks in the name of Yahuwah, and the word is not, or comes not, that is the word which Yahuwah has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it arrogantly. Do not be afraid of him. All right. So this is somebody running around, taking all the credit, acting like they have power, foresight of the future, saying things to freak your mind out, like they know what's going to happen in your future. Very boastful, very prideful, very arrogant, very controlling type person. Okay, they're a false prophet. They're fake. And what they say it's going to happen in your life isn't going to happen. Okay, that's just as easy as that is what that's saying there. Yeah, so we got to be very careful about what we are doing, what we are participating in. We have to stop and think, wait a minute, is it Yahuwah? Did he tell me to do this? Is there anywhere in scripture that says that I'm supposed to do this? And if the answer is no, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. You should escape, run away, get out of there. Someone says, hey, come on, man. It's fun. We're all going to go to the graveyard with a Ouija board, and we're going to try to summon up somebody's relative or talk to a demon or something in the graveyard. And they're all acting like it's a bunch of fun. And you're a square if you don't come with us. Well, maybe you should stop and think for a moment and make the right decision. And that would be not to go. You get away from them. Come up with an excuse, whatever, but don't go. All right, so that was our Torah portion reading. I hope all of you, got something out of that and try to get a good understanding of Yahuwah as well for us. I mean, it's kind of, I'm not going to call it simple to understand, but it's kind of common sense. So we have to stay focused on Yahuwah, okay, and everything that pertains to him. Anything that goes outside of him is, idolatry. That's what it is, because you're focusing your attention on something other than Yahuwah. It becomes idolatry, and it can get us burnt. We're playing with fire, right? It can get you burnt. Okay, let's go to Exodus 23, if you don't mind. Going to Exodus 23 in the BYNB. Try to get through it quickly here. Do not bring a false report. Do not put your hand with the wrong to be malicious witness. Do not follow a throng to do evil, nor bear witness in a strife so as to turn aside after many, to turn aside what is right. And do not favor a poor man in his strife. When you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him. Is that still in effect? It absolutely is. The moral laws were never abolished. Got to use common sense on this too. When you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him. Wow. Wow. How powerful is that? Do you turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife? Do not turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife. Keep yourself far from a false matter, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous. For I do not declare the wrong right. I do not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the seeing one and twists the words of the righteous. And do not oppress a sojourner, as you yourselves know the heart of a sojourner, because you were sojourners in the land of Mitzrayim. And for 6 years you are to sow your land, and shall gather its increase. But the 7th year you are to let it rest, and it shall leave it, And the poor of your people shall eat, and what they have, and what they leave, the beasts of the field eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive yard. 6 yamim you are to do your work, and on the 7th yam you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the son of your female servant and the sojourner be refreshed. Hi, Tess, glad you're here. And in all that I have said to you, take heed, and make no mention of the name of other mighty ones. Let it not be heard from your mouth. All right, here you go. So we got to be careful what we're saying. 3 times in the year you are to observe a festival to me. Okay, so there's 3 festivals a year. We need to be very careful of some of these uninspired words in the traditions, right? We do our best not to use them, but Paul told us too, that sometimes he had to come down to a level of the sinners in order to save them from the fire. So sometimes we have to say things, explain things in the manner that the laity can understand, or the unbelievers, people unfamiliar with Yahuwah can understand. Doesn't mean that we're violating this command. Okay? It just means that we're trying to help somebody escape from the fire. If we're to be punished for saying those words, I take the punishment freely. Why? If I save one person, help somebody get out of the world and find Yahuwah, not save them, but guide them out of the world, let's say, by using them words, but it costs me stripes, I take the stripes. But that's just me. I don't think it's a penalty to death or sin to death. There are sins to death and sins not to death. Okay, so anyway, here I go off on tangent again. Try not to do that. Oh, I didn't even put my greeting out there. Sorry about that. There we go. Shabbat Shalom, beloved of Yahuwah. It's still light here. It's still daytime here. All right, let's get back to it. 3 times in the year you are to observe a festival to me. Guard the festival of unleavened bread. 7 yamim you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the time appointed in the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Mitzrayim, and do not appear before me empty-handed. In the festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors which you have sown in the field, in the festival of the ingathering at the outgoing of the year, when you have gathered in the fruit of your labors from the field. 3 times in the year, all your males are to appear before the Master Yahuwah. Do not offer the blood of my slaughterings with leavened bread, and the fat of my offering shall not remain until morning. Being the first of the first fruits of your land, and to bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. See, I am sending a messenger before you to guard you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Be on guard before him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon your transgression. For my name is in him. But if you diligently obey his voice and shall do all that I speak, then I shall be an enemy to your enemies and a distressor to those who distress you. For my messenger shall go before you and shall bring you into the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Cuis and the Jebusites, and I shall cut them off. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars. Oh, how I long to see people do that in this country. Wouldn't that be nice? To see them all fall down, people just rise up and say, we're done. We're done with statues and pillars and abominations and ibex. We're tearing them all down. Whew. I wonder how quickly Yahuwah would bless this nation if we all rose up and did that. Just said, we're not doing it no more. We're not going to allow this no more in our land. We want to be obedient to Yahuwah. Wow. That would be a day to see, wouldn't it? And you shall serve Yahuwah your Elohim, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I shall remove sickness from your midst. The name of Yahuwah destroys viruses and sicknesses. Use it. Use it with anticipation and expectation of powerful things are going to happen when I say in the name of Yahuwah. You've got to believe that with all our might. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I shall fill the number of your Yamim. I shall send my fear before you and cause confusion among all the people to whom you come, and make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I shall send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Cuah and the Canaanite and the Hittite from before you. I know I'm butchering them words, but I can't help it. I shall not drive them out. I had a conversation with you about that before I ever made a video. All right? I asked him, why do you want me to do this stuff? I can't even talk right half the time. He said, well, did I make your mouth? You know, you go do it. I shall not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become a waste and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. Little by little I shall drive them out from before you until you have increased and you inherit the land. And I shall set your border from the Sea of Reeds to the Sea of the Philistine, and from the wilderness to the river, for I shall give the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Do not covenant with them, nor with their mighty ones. Let them not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me when you serve their mighty ones, when it becomes a snare to you. Wow, that's some powerful stuff right there now. Makes me not even want to look at them pillars, right? Them staples, The obelisk there in Washington, D.C., Washington Monument. What an abomination that thing is. You ever notice at night, you're looking for, whichever side you're looking at, there's two red eyes up there at the top. Kind of weird looking, man. Looks like a demon or something staring at you from on top of that thing. So anyway, wow, huh? Don't we wish that everybody would start listening to Yahuwah's instructions and do what he says, you know? I wish I could. I wish we could all do it. The whole nation. You know, probably too late. You know, to make up for what we as humans have done to our Creator, but His forgiveness and His mercy and His compassion, you know, and His deliverance. It's not too late. You know, we're still all going to die because of what we did in the past, but our future's bright, you know, because we have a deliverer now. The light has come into the world for mankind, you know, and we can be called out of the darkness in his marvelous light, you know, and we can realize better days ahead, man, you know, and forgiveness and his deliverance and his love, his joy and his peace. Where's the joy? There's people walking around claiming to know Yahuwah, but they have no joy. I hardly ever hear them laugh or joke. You know, it's like, obey the 10 Commandments. I gotta go now. It's like, where's the joy, man? Where's your joy? Anyway, Ephesians 5. I'm going to wrap it up with Ephesians 5, and I'm going to open it up so if anybody wants to come on. Don't hesitate. Yahuwah's calling you to come on, come on. So let's take a look at Ephesians chapter 5. Become then imitators of Yahuwah as beloved children. Right, man, that is powerful stuff right there. If you don't learn anything this evening at all, at least learn that. Alan, glad you're here. Become then imitators of Yahuwah as beloved children. Imitate Yahuwah. You know, I pray all the time to please make me more like Yahushua. You know, take anything that offends you out of me and make me more like my Messiah, like Yahushua. You know, and I want to be an imitator of Yahuwah. I really do. You know, but you know, we have a battle in life for sure. You know, we battle against our own flesh daily. We battle against the world. We battle against demons and the devil. You know, why? Because we're still in it. Physically, literally, spiritually, we've been set apart. Now, spiritual. You know, the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. The ruach is willing, right? So spiritually, we can do it, man. Because why? Because Yahushua's with us. We become one ruach with Yahushua's ruach. We're one ruach now because we're his body, his bride. We've become one with him. So that's why it's not a problem spiritually. But fleshly, yeah, we have a daily battle going on. The flesh battles against the ruach, and the ruach battles against the flesh. You know, same with the world. And the world battles against the ruach, and the ruach battles against the world to try to keep the sin out, the bad influence, the bad behavior, the disobedience. Stay away. Get away from me, man. I'm trying to obey Yahuwah. Leave me alone. All I want to do is love and obey Yahuwah. Leave me alone. right? Don't you feel like that sometimes? I know I do. And walk in love. There's a big one. Walk in love. And walk in love as Mashiach also has loved us and gave himself for us, a gift and an offering to Yahuwah for a sweet smelling fragrance. Wow. But whoring and all uncleanness or greed of gain, let it not even be named among you as is proper among set apart ones. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse gesturing, which are not fitting, but rather thanksgiving. Be thankful in all things. Now, thank you for everything. Even, I mean, if you can do it, things that we perceive to be bad or a bad thing for us, thanking for that as well. Because it could be a deception. It could be it's a blessing in disguise. An example of that would be, say we get in a car accident in a crossroad section, 4-way stop. Somebody pulls out, we head on, we get in an accident, right? We're late for our appointment, whatever. So we're in big trouble now, right? So this is like some people look at this and they say, why did this happen to me? This is so horrible. Why does things always happen to me? When is it going to stop? Instead of saying, thank you, Yahuwah, for getting me in this accident. Praise you for it. Thank you. Why? Because maybe, just maybe now, this is hypothetical situation here. Don't take me twisting my words on me. He stopped you at that 4-way crossing to prevent you from going down to the next intersection and getting hit by a semi-truck and getting killed or paralyzed. So therefore, that little fender bender that costing you some time and money may have just saved your life or kept you whole and healthy. So we thank him for that. See, sometimes we don't understand why he does certain things, allows certain things to happen to us. But if you just stop and think about it a little bit and see the good in it, and the righteousness in it, sometimes we can see it and say, thank you, Yahuwah. Practice it. See what happens in your life. All right. For this you know that no one who whores, or no unclean one, nor one greedy of gain, who is an idolater, has any inheritance in the reign of Mashiach in Yahuwah. See that? So you got to be set apart from the activity of the flesh, because then it's not you doing it. It's the old man still partaking in the world, not you. Sometimes, but you still have to fight it and try not to let the flesh have its way. Just battle it every day. Keep it down to a minimal level, and then ask forgiveness for it. Let no one deceive you with empty words. Isaiah Diaz, glad you're here, brother. For because of these, the wrath of Yahuwah comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not become partakers with them. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Master. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Ruach is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is well-pleasing to the Master. And have no fellowship with the fruitless works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is a shame even to speak of what is done by them in secret. But all these things being exposed are manifested by the light. for whatever is manifested is light. That is why he says, wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead, and Mashiach shall shine on you. The Mashiach shall shine on you like he did Paul, right? Didn't he shine on Paul? Didn't Paul need to see the light before he could convert and believe? He absolutely did. Matter of fact, he needed to see the light so much that it blinded him before he believed. But he believed. After he saw the light, he was blinded by the light. Let's take a look back here at Numbers real fast. Look at Numbers 6. Go to number 6. BYMB. Number 6, 24. The priestly blessing. Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, and Mashiach shall shine on you. Seems like a lot of shining going on there, don't it? What creates shine? The light. There's no darkness in Yahuwah. Yahuwah's light. There's no darkness in him. Come on now. Where's the common sense at? See then that you walk exactly, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are wicked. So then do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahuwah is. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Ruach. That's a command. It's an absolute command. Be filled with the Ruach. He's commanding you to be filled with the Ruach. Speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and Ruach-like songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master. This seems to be suggesting the kind of conversation we should be having with each other. Sounds like to me we should be talking about Yahuwah to each other and singing songs of praise and playing instruments to Yahuwah with each other. Not arguing and quarreling, coming up with worldly matters to argue over or dispute each other about. Doesn't seem to be what Scripture says we should be doing. Giving thanks always. There's that giving thanksgiving again. Giving thanks always for all to Yahuwah the Father. For all. See? For all. It's a hard thing to grasp and practice, but man, if you can do it, it's such a powerful thing to understand and do with your life and in your life. It will surely bring blessings upon blessings. You trust Yahuwah that much, or even something that seems to be bad, you thank him for? Because you trust him that much? Wow. Now that's powerful stuff. In the name of our Master Yahushua Mashiach, subjecting yourselves to each other in the fear of Yahuwah. Wow. Yeah. Ooh, tone it down, man. Remember who's listening to this conversations. We better chill out, man. How about we just love each other and chill out? Because Yahuwah's listening to this. It's not quarrel and fight with each other. Let's not be envious and jealous of each other, at least we consume each other. And all this happening in the earshot of Yahuwah? What are we thinking? Wives, subject yourselves to your own husbands as to the master. As to the master. Because the husband is head of the Asha, as also the Mashiach is head of the assembly, and he is deliverer of the body. Okay. So this, in the literal sense, or the fleshly sense of things, the literal, okay, the mind of the flesh, seems to be talking about a husband and a wife, all right, in marriage. And in that sense, it is. But what this message really is about is the marriage between you, the body, us, and Yahuwah. He's just using an earthly example here to display the message to us through the mind of the flesh. But only those in the mind of the Ruach can actually comprehend this message or see the true message here, which being said. And Scripture tells us that. Paul reveals that to us, that that's what this was all about. And we'll read it here in a second. So just kind of sit back and understand this. This isn't talking about our fleshly behavior. Okay, this is talking about us being the wife or the bride and our behavior towards our husband, which is Yahusha. Okay? And so it goes both ways. It applies to both, but the big message, the secret, the true meaning of this is spiritual, man. It's not fleshly. So let's read it with those thoughts in mind. See if we can decipher this and understand what it's really saying. Because the husband is head of the Asha, as also the Mashiach is head of the assembly. There's the comparison. And he is deliverer of the body. Is the husband a deliverer of his wife's body cardinally? No. So this is giving us a hint. This is talking about something just a little bit deeper here that the mind of the flesh cannot understand. Okay? That's our first hint right there. But as the assembly is subject to Mashiach, which is what? His body. So also let the wives be to their own husbands in every respect. There's the comparison again. Husbands, love your wives as Mashiach also did love the assembly and gave himself for it. Comparison. In order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. What? In order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So this thing, okay, but it's got something spiritual going on there now. This ain't no longer talking about an earthly marriage, is it? No, it seems to be more than that. In order to present it to himself, a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, but that it might be set apart and blameless. What? The spiritual body? The bride? The elect? Hey, this is talking about something more than just a fleshly marriage. That's just a comparison. Now we're getting deep into it and understanding the real, true message behind this passage. You see? It's more than fleshly. It's more than skin deep, man. This is getting real deep here now. I hope we're catching it. In this way, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his Asha loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but feeds and cherishes it, as also the master does the assembly. Big comparison here again now. So if you feed and cherish your own body, and you water your body, you feed it, you cherish it, you take care of it, you clothe it, you find shelter for it, is this love? Is this love in action? Yes. And so if you love your wife or anyone else, then these are the same actions that has to bring love into focus. It has to make, this is what makes love more than just a word. It brings love into action and makes it real, becomes a reality in our lives because of the action applied to the word love. The word love means nothing without action attached to it. Right? Yes. Because we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. So this all of a sudden now ain't talking about no human relationship. It's talking about a spiritual relationship between a husband and his bride. Because we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. So we've united or married to our spiritual husband now, right? So we become a spiritual bride, no longer a fleshly bride, right? No. Even the husband becomes the bride of the master, a spiritual. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his Asha, and the two shall become one flesh. Wow. Now that's so it's so literal, but yet so powerfully spiritual. It's mind blowing. Just think about what it just said. So you're going to leave your family. You're going to attach yourself, join yourself with his Asha, join to his Asha, into his body of believers, his elect, and the husband's Yahushua. Okay, and the two shall become one flesh, literally, but spiritually, one ruach, because you've joined with him in matrimony. You see the spiritual implications of this? This isn't really about a fleshly man and woman's marriage. This is about a spiritual marriage with the Yahushua and his bride. Now up here's the giveaway. The very next verse here, 32 is the giveaway. This secret is great. Yeah, it's great, all right. What we just read is a great secret. If you could see the spirituality in it, it's a great secret that was revealed to us at this moment. This secret is great, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the assembly. See that? So the secret of unification or oneness between a man and a woman's marriage, when they're no longer two now, but have joined together in matrimony, became one in the flesh, is a great secret. But I speak concerning Mashiach in the assembly, the Yahushua and his body. So he says, what I'm really saying here is not cardinal or fleshly. Okay, this is spiritually. And what I'm talking about is not your marriage between you two humans. I'm talking about the marriage between Yahushua Mashiach and his assembly, his body of believers, his elect, his bride, becoming one ruach. Of course, Yahushua being the husband, we're all the bride. Even you boys out there, you're a bride too. Are y'all getting it? Powerful, man. Powerful. However, you too, everyone, let each one love his own Asha as himself, and let the Asha see that she respects her husband. So now he's saying, okay. However, yeah, this applies to you guys too. You live two humans, you male and female that are married. And we'll apply it to you too. Okay, and let each one love his own Asha as himself, and let the Asha see that she respects her husband. So he's saying, yeah, okay. If you don't get what I'm saying, it applies to you too. Pat them on the head, send them on their way, right? But those who are in the mind of the Ruach will receive this message and this great secret and understand that Paul was speaking of the Yahushua Mashiach and his assembly, his bride. He was speaking of spiritual matter here. You see that? The mind of the flesh can't understand these things. The mind of the flesh can't even obey the Torah. It doesn't understand the Torah, neither is it able to obey. Can't get spiritual matters. You have to be in the mind of the Ruach. You have to have the indwelling Ruach of Yahushua in you to understand the spiritual matters. It's just that simple, folks. We got to have the Ruach HaKodesh in us to be his bride. Got to. It's the only way. All right. There you go then. So we go out of the old understanding of things that will say that these people were running around in their flesh, disobeying Yahuwah's commands and his will by running around making carved images and pillars and all this other stuff and bowing down to them, worshiping the stars and the moon in the sky of creation and things that they carved themselves out of wood or stone or whatever, and what are they at this point? They're in the mind of the flesh. This is all the mind of the flesh doing. That's why when we're in the mind of the flesh, or they were in the mind of the flesh, they couldn't obey Yahuwah, and they still went and did all these abominations because they couldn't understand it, and so they disobeyed. They submitted themselves to their flesh and to the influence of demons, obviously. And this is coming from people that was in the land that the Israelites went into and all the rest of the nations in the world. And he had told his people that these people that's doing all this wickedness and these abominations in my sight are going to be there. And I'm going to drive them out before you, and you're going to tear down all their pillars and their idols and carved images, and don't listen to them. Don't learn their ways. Don't ask them why they're doing what they're doing. Don't ask them what this means when you see it, something that they're doing or something they made. Just tear it down, burn it up. I'm going to chase them out before you, let you, tear them apart, run them out of there. Okay, and don't look at them things. Just get rid of them and listen to me. Do what I'm telling you. But they didn't. They continued to do what he said not to do. They talked to him. They married him. They learned the ways of the pagan. They learned the names of their gods. They learned their pagan rituals, their religious rituals, and what they meant and what they stood for. And then they started practicing them along with them. Started doing the same things. And forgot about Yahuwah. Why? Because they were in the mind of the flesh. That's why. The mind of the flesh can't understand Torah, neither is it able, and it cannot be obedient. It just can't. It's part of the world. If you're in the mind of the flesh, you're part of the world. You're like a child of the world, and everything that's in it. It's all you know. It's all you understand. Spiritual matters don't do nothing for you because you got spiritual blinders on. You're spiritually blind. You can't see the things of Yahuwah. And so you ignore them. You don't understand them. You ignore them. So you become disobedient. And this went on and went on, didn't it? Until Yahuwah got frustrated, and he, at one point he hated that he even made man. He was going to destroy everybody. Maybe he would have started over. Maybe he would just stayed by himself and say, "It ain't worth it, man. I'm good to go by myself." Or maybe he would have recreated in a different way. I don't know what he would have done. I know he regretted making man, and he was going to destroy man at one point. So this all remained this way. And when he took the children of Israel to Egypt, he decided he was going to take them and he was going to bring them out of bondage, out of darkness, out of the world, which Egypt represents the world, and he was going to train them and teach them his ways. And so they went on a learning curve to learn the ways of Yahuwah and how to follow Yahuwah and be obedient to Yahuwah. And as they went through this training curve, they didn't do too good. It was stuff they just still couldn't understand spiritually. They did semi okay, fleshly, literally, no mind the flesh. They carried around the stone tablets in a box. They did the festivals, didn't understand what they were. They did their rituals, their animal sacrifices, and they set up their camp like he told them to, and so forth and so on. They stuck to the dietary laws, so they semi was doing all right, but they never did take it to a great understanding or into great obedience. Through the entire history of all this, there was only two people that I can think of in Scripture was able to be obedient with the mind of the flesh. And those people were helped by the Ruach. Those two didn't do it on their own either. But they were able to control the mind of the flesh at a very heightened level. And who were those two people? Enoch and Elijah. Eliyahu. The only ones I know of. Moshe, he was, he made a lot of mistakes. That's why he wasn't allowed in the promised land. He wasn't allowed to go. It's almost like saying, you're not coming into the reign of Yahuwah, man. That was a powerful, very powerful statement they're giving to Moses, man. I'm not saying Moshe's not going to be in the reign, because I believe he will. But just the statement alone, it scared the daylights out of me. Right? I'll let you see it, but you ain't coming in here, boy. What? Think about it. And see how Moses felt. Put yourself in his shoes. Yahuwah said that to you. How would you feel? Right? So anyway, the only ones I know of is Enoch and Elijah, unless y'all can think of someone else. That's the only two I can think of that actually went through the process of the mind and the flesh, that learning curve, and was able to come out of it in good shape. Everybody else, I don't know. So until what? Until the great light came into the world, man. The light of men. Right? Life is in the light. The light of men came. Lit us up, man. Woke us up. Right? Made it easier. He took away the tablets of stone in the box. They carried those in, walking in the dust 40 years. He took all that away. Why? Because it was fleshly, with the mind of the flesh. They needed to see those literal tablets of stone in a box before they could even begin to follow Yahuwah. They just had to have that because they were in the mind of the flesh and all the other things. Animal sacrifices, the tabernacle, the altar, the menorah, the showbread, the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy of Holies, all that, the mercy seat, was all to train them, their minds to leave the mind of the flesh and come into the spiritual realm where Yahuwah was. But they were stiff-necked. They were hard-headed. They didn't understand. They kept beating each other upside the head with stone tablets and sacrificing poor little innocent animals to make up for their faults and their shortcomings. Right? Yeah, that's exactly what they did. So when the Great Light came, all this was changed. And he did a new thing. He didn't get rid of the marriage covenant. He kept the same marriage covenant, okay? But he took away the burden. He made it easy, burden light, okay? He made it so it would not be an issue for us any longer. And he created and gave us this process to clean ourselves up with. And then he would marry us. But this time, instead of carrying him around or leading us around by the nose and us carrying around his commands or our marriage vows to him, what they really are, he said, look, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to make it easy on you. That's what he's saying. I'm going to make it easy on you. Okay? From now on, I'm going to clean you up, and I'm going to come in there. I'm going to live with you. I'm not going to go into that meeting place anymore, that tabernacle. I'm not going to come here and sit on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant anymore, and you can only come in and see me once a year. Yeah, he said, I'm going to make it easy on you. I'm going to clean you up. You're going to become my temple. I'm going to share your house with you. I'm going to move in with you. I'm bringing my luggage. I'm coming in. And we're going to live together. And we're going to work through this together. Because I'm going to live with you inside your house. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to write our marriage vows to each other on your heart and place them in your inward parts. I'm going to make it real easy for you to obey them. Because I'm going to be right there along with you, reminding you of our marriage vows so you don't go back whoring on me. I'm going to seal you with my Ruach till the day of redemption, and I will remind you every day of our marriage vows we took together, because I'm going to write them in our house inside of you. I'm going to be right in there with you, reminding you of them on a daily basis. And you will be obedient to your command, to our marriage vows, the same as I am. He's obedient to the marriage vows, and so should we. Yeah, that's what's going on. So what does that mean spiritually to us? That means our bodies are no longer fleshly vessels made for destruction. They've become the temple of the living Yahuwah. And our hearts have become the Ark of the Covenant, carrying around our marriage vows to our husband. And he's living with us, reminding us of our marriage vows to stay faithful and true to him every single day by staying true and trustworthy and loyal and obedient to our marriage vows we took with him. In our hearts, or our being, if you will, have become his mercy seat, his throne. It's where he sits inside of us and guides us and helps us. He's the comforter now. He who sits in us and he says, I love you, wife. I love you with an everlasting love. Don't forget our marriage vows. Stay loyal to me to the end. Endure. And I'm going to take you to paradise with me. I'm going to give you an immortal body. Come on, man. We got to pass over. We got to cross over. We got to get to the other side of the river, the living waters. We have to get from the cardinal world cross over the living waters into the promised land, into the spiritual realm where Yahuwah is, and leave the old cardinal ways and knowledge behind us. Don't even look back. Don't look back. Anyone who sets their hands to the plow and looks back is not worthy of the kingdom of Yahuwah. Don't look back. Leave the cardinal mind of the flesh, the world behind you, and don't look back. Get into the spiritual realm where Yahuwah is. That's where love and truth resides. Hatred and lies and falsehood is back there in the world. And we got to get out. We got to stay out. Think about it. Think about it, man. You can't stay in the cardinal world and have a marriage with a spiritual being. There's no lie in Yahuwah. If somebody comes up to you and they start talking to you and saying weird stuff, and all of a sudden they start putting lies into the conversation, making stuff up, right away, immediately, we know that that message is what they're saying cannot be from Yahuwah, because Yahuwah wouldn't make up stuff about you or lie about you or make up things or slander you to other people. That's not Yahuwah. That's not who Yahuwah is. They can say they know Yahuwah all they want. But if they're going around bad-mouthing people, slandering people, treating people like dogs, they're not of Yahuwah. They're of Hashatan. Just the fact that they're telling lies on you indicates to me that their father is the father of lies. Why? Because Yahuwah has no lie in him. He don't lie. He will not lie. When we speak truth, we're representing Yahuwah. When we speak truth, we're esteeming Yahuwah. When someone speaks falsehood, slander, and lies, or creates deceit, or tries to trap you in a snare to hurt you in some way, that's not of Yahuwah. That's of the devil, man. They're either in the mind of the flesh or they're influenced by the devil if they're acting in that way. And it's a sad thing to see, but that's the truth, because Yahuwah is the truth. You know what I mean? Dilly beans. Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to get off of here. I've had a rough week, and I got a lot of things to do yet this evening. So I apologize. I'm not going to open this up, and I'll be back next week, and hopefully I'll be rested up and be able to help with scripture and things better than I did this evening. But I hope everybody got something out of this. I know the Ruach had a real strong message here for somebody out there. I learned a lot myself. And I want to thank Lou White for sending me this, because it helped me quite a bit. I needed to, it's nothing I didn't already know, but I needed to rehear that. And so thanks, Lou. And I'll see some of you tomorrow, Zoom at noon. And other than that, thank you for coming on this evening, sharing your time with us, leaving nice, wonderful comments to each other, showing each other love. That's of Yahuwah, and that's what we all need to do. So, so long, everyone. And remember to stay in love with Yahushua HaMashiach. So long, Nazarene, beloved of Yahuwah. Are you so lucky to be beloved by Yahuwah? Yeah, we're all Baruch to be loved by Yahuwah. All right. So long.